I asked people on my community post what videos should I do that are not trailer related, and I got a suggestion that honestly surprised me that I really wanted to do now. That is, make a Death Battle season completed of only movie characters. Meaning I could pull from animated movies, anime movies, live action movies, but I have to strictly just use movie characters. So like I can't pull from I believe I can't pull from their books and shit, which I think is more fun, so I'm gonna go that way. I'm gonna be strictly focusing on their movie appearances. So with that out of the way, hope y'all enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, first up, I'm going to talk about Nick Gant from Push versus David Rice from Jumper. I've always wanted to find a Jumper matchup, and I feel like this works the best. It's because they're both from the early 2008, 2009-ish superhero films that, in my opinion, are kind of both underrated gems when it comes to superhero movies, if you want to call them that. But really, there's not really much else for either. I'm pretty sure they don't have literally anything else besides this matchup. What, if you want to do David Rice versus Nightcrawler, which is horrible since it's just teleporting. But I feel like you have two completely different movesets with this matchup, and that's where I like the most. These two have completely different abilities, and I feel like it'd be kind of a cool interaction-based thing, and that's kind of why I like the appeal of this matchup. And following that, we're going to talk about Ron Perlman's Hellboy versus Raimi fucking Spiderman. Now, in my opinion, this, is the best they both have. Since Ron Perlman's Hellboy, I believe, doesn't have any matchups, and Raimi Spider-Man's are kind of eh. I mean, there's Keeper from Wolf Train for Raimi Spider-Man, which is good, but I kind of prefer the Ron Perlman's Hellboy. It's mostly because it has that kind of classic 2000-ish superhero feels that are kind of cheesy, but low-key have a really big fan base. And it's a lot deeper if you want to go into their fan base. Both of them have a die-hard passion for their Spider-Man or their Hellboy. Since whenever we get a new adaptation, they're always complaining, oh, it should have been Ron Perlman's Hellboy 3, or we should have gotten a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4. No, those type of people thing. And I don't kind of feel like since they're both kind of the early 2000s cheesiest, I guess kind of cheesy superhero movies, since to be fair, both those movies low-key kind of cheesy to a degree. But low-key, I feel like a banner potential-wise would be really cool. It's more hey, this is a pretty cool matchup type thing. But I'm pretty sure Ron Perlman's Hellboy fucking stomps. Since, if I remember correctly, the movies could get him to, Planetary, if I remember correctly. But I just overall think the matchup's kind of cool. I low-key kind of vibe with it. And coming in next, we have Hero. Sorry about that, I had the yawn. Hero and Baymax versus Hiccup and Toothless. How to Train Your Dragon versus Big Hero 6. A matchup I am fucking surprised they have not done yet. I mean, granted, they also haven't done Krueger vs. Megamind yet, which I'm also surprised about. But there's a lot you could probably do with it, especially if you give it the right animation style. You could make this something special to a lot of people. And coming from how popular both these franchises are, How to Train Your Dragon is getting a remake, I think. So you could do it around then, I guess. Which would be really fun to see. There's a lot of cool bannering you can do. You could have a really in-depth character thing. Since, at the end of the day, both Baymax and Toothless deeply care for their, pals, being Hiccup and Hero. And vice versa. So you could low-key have them, have a really deep connection with their friends. And low-key, you could have a really emotional death in this as well. But generally, that's just what I think, how the death should go. I feel like it should be a really emotional death. And coming in next, we're going to have Jack Sparrow versus Indiana Jones. I am generally surprised we have not had this as an official death battle yet. And I'm kind of surprised this doesn't really get a lot of love. Because in general, this is hands down one of the best ideas I think they can do. Now, I can kind of see why the animation style might be a problem, since I don't know what animation style they could go with, since I feel like sprites could work the best, but it could possibly look a little weird. But like overall, like just the banner alone has me sold. Like, if you could capture Jack Sparrow's charisma, you could make something really cool. And also, like, you could have a really cool setting. Like, you could have a bunch of cool set pieces, maybe have them both run away from a fall, like a rolling boulder. Maybe have them fight on, like, a pirate ship as well. Like, the setup for this fight is so fucking cool, and there's a lot you could fucking go with it. The death, I feel like you could do pretty well. But granted, the only death that's kind of likely would be, I believe, when Indiana Jones just shoots that guy when the guy pulls out his sword. I think that's the death they'd probably go with. But overall, Indiana Jones versus Jack Sparrow would be a fucking phenomenal fight if they were to ever do it. And I really fucking hope they do, because that fight could be something really special. And up next, we have Gru versus Megamind. A fight that I actually think should be hand-drawn. Because generally, I don't know how their 3D fights are going to look, since fast-paced 3D fights usually have not looked terrific in the past. Not the animator's fault, it's the crunch time they're on. But generally, I feel like hand-drawn captures a lot more of what you can do. Especially coming from it fits animation hand-drawn. And, you know, they have a lot of cool weapons they could show off, a lot of cool banner potential that they could do. And especially coming from, they both have super fucking crazy arsenals of weaponry that they could throw at each other. But my only complaint is that I feel like the pacing would screw this over. I feel like if this was long enough, maybe like 3-4 minutes, you could have something incredibly special, like enough of their weapons get shown. I feel like could be really cool. But generally, that's just what I think of this episode. And honestly, a lot of people love this episode. I'm particularly not the biggest fan. But the fact is that it has a so diehard fan base behind it, wanting it. I want them to get their episode, and I want them to be happy for this episode when it happens. And I hope when it does happen, it lives up to their expectations, since their happiness means a lot to me. And coming in next, I think if there was going to be a live action fight on this list, I feel like it should be James Bond versus Ethan Hunt. Now, I don't have a whole lot of opinions on this fight in general, since I kind of had to rush these. But in general, I do feel like this could work extremely well in a live action format. You can have some really nice hand-to-hand combat scenes, some nice good of them sprinting away and running, since Ethan Hunt likes to run for like a solid 5 minutes in every movie. Like, at this fight, it would be really fucking cool to see. Yes, from what I gathered, if you're going to do the movie composite James Bond, then James Bond should smite Ethan Hunt if we're looking at that. And yes, I know these two have books, but I'm not looking at that. I'm just strictly looking at their movies for this. But yeah, overall, if this happened in live action, this would be fucking terrific. A lot. Again, you could do a lot of kind of cool set pieces. Maybe have like a boat chase scene. Maybe have like a bike or car chase scene on top of it. Maybe have them try to outsmart one another. I feel like could work very well in this fight. But overall, one day, I kind of do hope we see this, since I really wasn't a big fan of James Bond versus John Wick. Coming from, I felt like this was the superior James Bond matchup, at least in my opinion. Next up, we have Pennywise versus Freddy Krueger. Yes, I know Pennywise is from a fucking novel, but I'm strictly going to be talking about the movie version of Pennywise for this fight. And overall, this fits fucking perfect for Halloween. I honestly cannot picture a better Halloween-themed episode strictly for movie characters alone. This fight would go so hard. You could have them like hopping around the dream world, maybe have Pennywise use the deadlights or something, maybe have a fight with Pennywise's true form. I feel like you could capture a lot of good horror in this fight. And especially coming from you've seen his spider form in the movie, you could do so much cool shit. Freddy Krueger in the dream world, you could do a lot of cool wacky shit in there. So overall, I feel like you could knock this out of the park if you put in the love and effort, which I think they would definitely put the love and effort into this fight. Up next, we have Breitburn versus Andrew Dittmer. I'm such a big advocate of this fight. I feel like this is the best matchup that they both have. Since, to be fair, Brightburn's other matchups are fucking terrible. They're all just the evil Superman clones, and then Hancock. But Andrew Dittmer doesn't really have that much. What he has, I guess, Sam from Gen V. But overall, he fits so much better with Brightburn. Now, my only actual problem with this fight, I think, comes from a banner potential point. And I don't really feel like these two would banner off each other all that well. But overall, I think it makes up for the fact that you could really have this be like kind of like a gothic episode and make it like really bleak. So I feel like could work really well knowing the nature of these two characters. And also the fact is that like their powers and abilities are two completely different things. And that'd be really interesting to see how they play off each other. Now, in my opinion, if I were to guess on who would win, it's gonna come down to a speed factor, and I think Brightburn takes that. Since Andrew can definitely win with his hacks. But the problem is, if you've seen the movie, you know Brightburn can only be hurt, in quotations, by a fragment of his ship. So if you want to take that literally, then Andrew has no way of winning, but realistically, Andrew could just crush Brightburn. But overall, I think Brightburn would win due to a speed factor. But that's why I think Andrew would lose to Brightburn. But overall, this would be such a great episode if done correctly. Now, this definitely fits more of a sprite feel. At least to me, since 3D, no. Live action, like, it could work in live action, but it wouldn't look the best. Since having both of their abilities bounce off each other in live action would look a little strange, in my opinion. Now, let's get on to a Christmas-themed episode. That being Jack Skellington versus the Grinch. This fits hand-drawn 1000%. There isn't a single thing you can say that can convince me this would not fit hand-drawn. And the fact is that you could have this death end kind of peacefully. Like maybe, like let's say, since from what I know, Jack is considered the winner here. Maybe you could have the Grinch find the error of his ways and have a humble death. But overall, this would be phenomenal if they were to pull this off. And I generally hope that it is the finale for, I guess, the 2025 slate, assuming the finale is in December. Since we do not know yet how their lineup's going to work, but we'll wait and see. But if it's how I think it's going to be, this would go so hard for a Christmas episode finale. But yeah, overall, this is just like such a good fucking episode. But yeah, I really don't have much to say just besides of how much I like the episode in general and the matchup in general. And also the fact is that you could have honestly, some pretty kick-ass Christmas music, a mix of like Halloweenish and Christmas music, I feel like could go very hard. Up next, we have Agent Smith from The Matrix versus the villain from Tron. And no, I'm not trying to pronounce that. The only thing I could come up with is fucking Clue, but I know that's not how you pronounce it, and I'm too lazy to Google it, since it's fucking 11 o'clock at night. But anyway, I like, from what I remember of the Tron movie, I really liked it. And what I remember from The Matrix, I also liked it. But overall, from what I know about the franchises, you could do a lot of cool shit. Like, you could have a motorcycle chasing, since I do know Tron, they use motorcycles, so you could have a lot of cool that. Some cool hand-to-combat things. From what I know, Agent Smith should lose this fight. But in general, I don't really have a lot to talk about. I do like the matchup in general. It's just a matchup I don't really have much to say on, besides I just feel like it would be kind of cool to see. And also the fact that like both the worlds, you can have a lot of cool things go back and forth. But that's generally what I think of the fight. Up next, we have Detective Pikachu versus Movie Sonic. Again, I just kind of feel like this is a cool episode. Not really a whole lot I could talk about. Besides the fact I feel like the banner potential would be kind of cool and really funny. And kind of really interesting. Now, yes, obviously when it comes to the debate itself, Sonic fucking no diffs. And that's kind of sad. But I feel like if Movie Pikachu got more feats and better feats, this could really be a good episode. But, actually, no, one sec. I mean, I guess if you want to use Pikachu and the Mewtwo fight as scaling, but, you know, that's kind of pushing it, but in general, I think Movie Sonic would clap. But in general, I just kind of feel like this would be a solid episode if they were to do it. Obviously, Sprite works the best for this fight. But yeah, overall, Movie Sonic versus Detective Pikachu overall is a pretty solid and fun episode that could possibly happen one day, and I'll be here for it. Okay. Oh, I was talking about some horror episodes. Yeah, Ghostface versus the Fisherman is another episode that could make a good Halloween episode. Now, obviously, this would be in live action if it ever happened. And I'm not really... I know one of my old friends, Christopher McGrath, fucking used to really like this idea, and from what I know, he still likes it. God, I miss that guy so much. He was honestly one of my fucking first friends I had in this versus community. But anyway, back to the matchup itself. Overall, if you can nail the tone of this fight, maybe have it take place near like a fishing dock area, maybe have some like fog rolling in. If you could set the atmosphere correct, you could make this so fucking good if you nail the atmosphere correctly. Have it take place near like probably like a shipping dock area, near like a fish gutting factory, have some fog roll in. You could make this such an incredible episode. Again, banner potential not really there since Fisherman isn't really much of a talker at all. But granted, overall, you could make this work so fucking well. You could honestly have some pretty neat jump scares, especially coming from, you know, the killer always comes back from one last scare. But yeah, overall, Ghostface versus the Fisherman is honestly a really damn good episode and a really good damn idea. P.S. I don't know why the fuck I keep calling these episodes these are ideas. So every time I call a thing an episode, just ignore it. I'm just being a fucking idiot. And for the final matchup, since I think it's going to have 12 episodes in a season, or sorry, lineup now. But again, we're going to see how many episodes we get in a lineup, but I'm assuming it's 12. But anyway, Sarah Connor from the Terminator franchise versus Ripley from the Alien franchise. This fight goes so fucking hard, it is unfucking believable. The dude, oh my god, dude, this fight's fucking phenomenal. I didn't even realize how phenomenal this matchup was until I was doing research for movies, Death Battles, literally earlier today. Or I guess early yesterday, since by the time you see this video. But dude, oh my god. This fight screams fucking awesome. Two, like, what, 90s badass female action heroes. Oh my god. It's so fucking good. Like, again, I love the matchup. I just suck ass at putting it in the words why I like it. Like, they both have some decent amount of weaponry. Like, I doubt they're gonna give her the fucking forklift thing. But it would be really fucking cool if they did. But, like, overall, this screams fucking badass female characters. And honestly, I really hope this happens one day. Because it's just so fucking cool. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about this matchup. I'm sorry I couldn't phrase it any better.